Sometimes our kids boomerang back after college or never quite spread their wings. It's a trend that's on the rise, and it can be a real challenge for everyone involved. But don't panic. We've got some strategies to help you keep your cool and your sanity. First off, let's chat about why this happens. Sometimes, it's all about the Benjamins. Your kid might be trying to save up some cash before venturing out on their own. In other cases, they're just not quite ready for the big, bad world out there. Maybe they haven't developed the skills to fly solo yet. Now, here's a truth bomb: if your adult child is calling the shots in your house, you've let that happen. Ouch, right? But it's true. We love our kids to bits, and sometimes that love makes us a bit too soft. So, what can you do about it? Well, for starters, stop doing everything for them. I know, it's hard. But if you're still doing their laundry, making their bed, or cleaning up after their parties, you're not helping them grow up. There's a big difference between helping and overfunctioning. Helping is giving them a lift when their car breaks down. Overfunctioning is, well, pretty much everything else. Here's a golden rule: have a plan. Sit down with your child and make it crystal clear that this living arrangement isn't permanent. You're here to help, but the goal is for them to stand on their own 2 feet. Without a plan, things can drag on forever, and before you know it, you're all frustrated and at each other's throats. Now, let's talk about those kids who seem to be stuck in neutral. You know the type, always looking for a job but somehow never finding one. If you catch yourself making excuses for them, like he's just going through a rough patch, or she'll figure it out eventually, stop right there. You might be enabling them without even realizing it. It's tough love time, folks. If your child is running the show in your house, remember, you're allowing it to happen. I know that's not easy to hear, but it's the honest truth. So, what's the game plan? Instead of getting into power struggles, try to be objective. Don't say things like, "When are you finally going to get a job?" Instead, try, "What's your strategy for finding work? Let's chat about it tomorrow after dinner." See the difference? One approach leads to arguments, the other opens up a conversation. Now, if your child has a disability, things can get even trickier. The goal is still for them to be as independent as possible, but you might need to adjust your expectations. Just be careful not to use their disability as an excuse to do everything for them. Many parents of kids with disabilities overfunction as a way to manage their own anxieties. And some kids might be tempted to use their disability as a reason not to leave home. Living with adult children can be, let's say, interesting. You feel like they're cramping your style, they feel like you're treating them like kids. It's a recipe for tension. The key is to manage your own reactions. It's okay to get annoyed sometimes, but try to stay calm and use clear I statements. For example, when you use the car without asking, "I feel disrespected." Or, when you make a mess and expect me to clean up, "I feel taken for granted." Here's a mindset shift that can help. When your kids were little, you were their manager. Now that they're adults, think of yourself more as a consultant. You're there to offer advice when asked, not to micromanage their lives. Set clear boundaries. Let them know what you expect and what's off limits. You might say something like, "Here's what I expect while you're living here. These areas are shared spaces, these are private. These things are mine, and these are free for you to use." Remember, you're not responsible for your adult child's choices. That's on them. Your job is to take care of yourself and set a good example. If you think you're responsible for their choices, you create a dynamic where your child doesn't learn to function independently. So, what's the bottom line here? You can't control your adult child, but you can control yourself and your home. Set clear expectations, have a plan, and remember, this phase won't last forever. Now, let's talk about anger and frustration. It's normal to lose your cool sometimes and have a fight. But remember, your children, no matter how old, can be very sensitive to your anger. Try to stay calm when you're frustrated and, if necessary, walk away and finish the conversation later when you've had a chance to cool down. Another important point: Don't get caught up in who's right and who's wrong. Instead, take responsibility for your behavior and how you manage your own emotions. This sets a great example for your adult child. Here's a trick that can help. When you're feeling controlled by your child, you have a few choices. You can react to their behavior and watch things escalate, or you can try to be thoughtful about how you want to handle the situation. The second option is always better, even if it's harder in the moment. And hey, let's not forget the positives. Having your adult child at home can be a chance to build a new kind of relationship with them. You can get to know them as adults, share experiences, and create new memories. Just make sure you're not sacrificing your own life and happiness in the process. One last thing to remember, it's okay to have your own life. Don't put your plans on hold just because your adult child is living at home. Go on that vacation, take that class, pursue your hobbies. Showing your child that you have a full, rich life can inspire them to do the same. That's all for today. If you found this helpful, give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more parenting tips.